everyone, welcome to the LARP Tales podcast. My name is Oliver. I'm one half of your hosting duo. With me, as always, is my co-host Robyn. Hey, Robyn.
Hey, Oliver.
And on this episode of the award-winning LARP Tales podcast, we are going to be recapping Empire LARP E1 of 2025. This is our fourth year at Empire.
That's crazy.
Fourth year at Empire. We'll get into it. This was a wild one. This is a roller coaster of an event. Before that, though, let's do the housekeeping. If you're watching us on YouTube, give us a thumbs up. Click subscribe if you're new to the To Have and To Roll universe. If you're listening on an audio platform, give us the stars. Go check out the Patreon if you want to support us in that way. We do also have a referral link for £15 off your first Empire ticket if you are interested in coming to Empire for the first time as well. And with that all out of the way, let's get into our recap of Empire LARP E1 2025, the Winter Solstice. Okay, we have a lot to get. We have a lot to get through. We're going to squeeze this event into 2 episodes. We have over the years done like 3, sometimes 4 episodes. We're just recapping Empire LARP. We're going to try to keep to a 2 episode schedule because we have Menhir's Fate coming up as well. We're going to be going to the second event of Menhir's Fate. I was quite happy with the response we got from our Menhir's Fate content that we've been doing. I think a lot of people are interested in the new LARP. So we are going to be continuing to do coverage of Menhir's Fate. But that is, as of recording, that is like this weekend. So
we're going to get all of our recaps recorded, head over, go to Menhir's and get that one recorded as soon as possible as well. Because I think this time I want to try some different parts of the game and hopefully tell you about some other parts of the game as well. So that'd be quite cool.
Yeah. So, man, where do we start with this one? This is going to be a tough one to kind of recap.
It is a tough one.
Yeah. It seems to be because this is our 4th ever Empire LARP E1. So this is event. Can I do my counting? 12, 13. Right. This is our 13th Empire LARP event. Empire LARP E1 in 2022 is our first ever LARP experience ever, and this does feel like it's come to like a bit of a full circle. It's going to be very difficult to recap the way we used to. I think a lot of people like the they like the recaps of like first experiences. You know, I think that's what people like. But we're so far away from our first ever Empire LARP experience. All the things that new people do when they come to Empire LARP, we don't really get a chance to do any of that anymore. We've entered into like the serious kind of PvP realms of this game.
Oh,
now, haven't we?
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess in that case, that makes us quite good to talk about some of the PvP that actually happened at this event. I think just before we get into everything, a little gentle reminder. This is a PvP game, and we all enter it knowing it's a PvP game. But there are real human beings behind every single one of these characters that they are playing. And some people will enter certain situations wanting a lot of heavy PvP and not enjoy it and need to step away. It's why it's so important to check in on people when you're in these sort of situations or as soon as you can afterwards to make sure that everyone is doing okay, that people are comfortable. The most important thing, though, and I think there are still quite a few people that maybe don't realize this, but if you, out of character, have an issue with another person on that field, it is against the rules to then enter any kind of PvP with that person.
Yeah.
PD have that rule out there, and it's a good rule, and it really does need to be followed, especially after such a heavy PvP event like this one.
Yeah, it's difficult. Anyway, maybe recap like the story of what actually happened.
I think so,
because there are people that listen to this podcast that do not come to Empire LARP. They don't know what's going on. So let's try and put this into a nutshell. So a couple of years ago, Dawn had reclaimed a territory called the Barrens. It's now Dornish territory. There are several orc tribes or septs, as we call them,
Yeah.
that are native to the Barrens, but are not part of the Empire. Some of them had sided with like the Druge, so the difference between a foreigner and a barbarian is literally who we are at war with. So if we are at war with a certain peoples, they are barbarians. If not, they are foreigners. Foreigners are protected under law, so you can't just go killing foreigners under the law. You can with barbarians. Barbarians, anything goes.
Oh yeah.
So there was a sept. Well, there is a sept called the Robyn. They were in a mithril mine in the Barrens. I'm brushing over a lot of histories.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of details, but just like in a nutshell.
In a nutshell, we've been the Empire. Obviously, there's people in Dawn and the Empire that think, well, we've taken the territory. The resources in that territory should belong to the Empire, right? But they're foreigners, so they're protected under law. There was lots of players, lots of characters, should I say, having a back and forward with this Orc Sept. Deals being made of trying to either bring them into the Empire or get them to trade for the Mithril. Last event, one of the generals, the general of the Griffin's Pride, did an illegal action by going in and removing the Robyn as their order. So this is all done in downtime. This is all done. This is not so. At the game, the generals put their orders in, and you can, as a general, and we're going to be talking a lot about generals in this episode. But as a general, you have control over your army, right? You have orders that you give your army at the end of the event, and then your army go off and do the thing in between the event. So the general of the Griffin's Pride told their army to go in and boot out the Robyn. That was autumn last year, so in real world time, that was like 7 months ago.
Yeah,
eight months ago. So we this has kind of been building as well, which didn't help matters either. It obviously, like, in character, it ruffled a few feathers, which is probably an understatement. It's an illegal action. You could. So what happened in game terms? They release what's called the wins. So it's a write up, or it's basically mechanically this thing happens, and then the PD team will make a load of fluff, a load of lore about what's happened. So in the wins on the wiki, the Robyn didn't just leave; they stood and fought.
Mm-hmm.
So they gave people an opportunity to go and either help the Imperial army going to kick them out, or they gave people the opportunity to go and help the Sept, the Robyn, the Orc Sept, only if you had a military unit. So lots of people in the Empire were against this. Some people were for it. So people put their military units to those opposite causes. So this then generated a us versus them PvP coming into E1. Am I missing anything like really important there?
Not really, no.
No. The Empress, because the Empress gets a address on the wins every event. The Empress condemned the action.
Mm-hmm.
The militia made it obvious. They made it obvious that the militia will be apprehending the people who supported the army.
Yeah, so everybody who chose to send a military unit to support the Pride knew that there was going to be some consequences there from the militia.
Yeah, they were aware there was going to be that consequence, and there's no prisons in this world. In the Empire, we don't do prisons. It is if you break the law, it's either a don't do that again. This is a warning, a fine, or execution. There's no detainment.
Can they not also like banish you as well, like banish a character and stuff like that?
I think it's usually go through the Sentinel Gate, and if you run away, that's the thing. But really, like if you go through the Sentinel Gate and it's closed off, you are for all intents and purposes dead. Like you can't just roll back into that character being like, oh, they survived. So it's pretty much a death sentence.
Yeah.
So coming into this game, there was already a lot of tension. It was a real cool thing.
It was a cool
the player
thing.
did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It definitely was. It was a cool thing, and it has in one movement created game for everyone on that field.
Yeah.
Which was quite cool. They did also, PD did a thing before we came in, basically giving us the option of wearing sort of badges, totems, symbols, showing whether we were for or against the action. Allowing people to wear like a unicorn if they were on the Raven side and a griffin if they were on the Pride side. Which I quite like that as a concept. I think I think people were actually quite good with it. Nobody was overly like silly, but like I quite like that as like a concept.
Yeah. So I think like PD like they do like to say that they have buttons and levers in the background, and they have contingency plans when you pull the levers or push the buttons. I think I've heard I heard Andy on a podcast recently saying something to this effect. I didn't get the sense when they posted the wins that they anticipated a general doing this properly. Like actually, like I think they went, oh yeah, well a general can technically like go and attack anybody anywhere that they want. They didn't seem overly prepared for it to happen.
Yeah.
You know?
I think obviously know that it's a possibility. Yeah, like you said, I don't think there was a lever or a button ready for this happening.
Yeah, I mean the button was there. The button is you have an army, you can do whatever you want with it. But then someone did whatever they wanted with it, which is not what they anticipated, and then they went, oh right, okay, this has happened. It felt somebody on PD side who might know if Andy wants to get in touch and say, oh no, we have this folder that we go, oh, general has attacked. It just didn't. The sense I was getting from the wins, didn't give that impression, which also built a bit of tension for me because I was like I had a bit of trepidation. This storyline, I will say for me, I know it sounds easy in hindsight.
Yeah.
But I never liked this storyline. I've not been into this plot at all. I think the Dawn plot at the minute with the Seps and things like that. Like when we got the Barrens, it was awesome because it's like, yeah, we finally got the Barrens. And this whole Orc Sept thing, for me personally, has been a bit tedious.
Yeah, it felt like after such a huge win of reclaiming this territory, of pushing out the Druge, it was just kind of annoying. Like having these septs here that just, I mean, the overall aim of the Empire is to spread the way. Like that's the goal of the game is to spread the way, spread the word and everything, and have that go everywhere. Which I quite like the kind of idea of that starting up, but it just got a little bit annoying and a little bit like, oh, okay, yeah, they're having again. Anyway, something else.
Well, I think it's the main focus. I have no problem because obviously that is, there are diplomats in this game, there are priests in this game, there are senators in this game that are dealing with that, and then obviously the general jumps in and goes, oh, I want to deal with that. But as someone just playing in the nation, a player playing in the nation, that should have lots of different facets to it. This has been you couldn't get away from this. That was the annoying. I didn't actually mind the Raven thing as a point of contention in the Barrens. What I wasn't a big fan of is that every time you go to anything Empire discussion and you're in Dawn, people are asking you about this. It was fun for a little while, but like because we've had months and months and months of this, just the constant.
And we've had like player events as well, where it's like a focal, it's like the topic, it's the thing, and you're just like, okay, there's other things though.
I mean, I made the most of it. Like my character, I decided to take a slightly different approach to it anyway because I found the binary aspect of it quite boring. It's like, oh yeah, well I've got to be on one side or the other. Maybe I'm going to take I've taken a different path. Ask me about it in character.
Yes, ask him about it in character.
I won't say any more than that. We will basically. I want to get over. I want to say what we want to say about this, and then kind of be done with it. Basically,
yeah.
we'll maybe talk a bit about at the end. You know what? I'll say it here. I'll say it because I don't want to like bring the tone down constantly throughout this episode. Keep going back to it, and then like when am I going to speak about it? So after the event, so the general was sentenced to death. The player lost their character. A lot of their house obviously supported them in the downtime option. They lost their characters. And there's been a bit of bad taste floating around out of character after the event. I'll only say this publicly on the podcast. There's lots of things being said out there of certain parts of the PvP of the game. We know, we're friends with the general in question.
Yeah.
We know the player of the Empress. We know the Empress, and Rose is a friend of the podcast. We know lots of people involved in this plot. And we've heard lots of different sides of lots of different stories, and what I've seen online, people might have had an opinion on a certain bit of PvP or how the game went in character, but nobody has it's a myriad of different things.
Yeah.
It's not just this person did this wrong or that person did that wrong. It's a massive tapestry of real complex, with lots of different people playing lots of different characters with in-character opinions and out-character opinions, and what people saw. It's not just a case of this person did this wrong, or in any facet, right? It's a very complicated thing that happened at this LARP, and it was crazy. And so that being said, let's just talk about our experience and our character's experience, and let's move on from what might have been tense about it in general. Again, I wasn't like a massive fan of the whole thing, to be honest. I didn't like the binary aspect of it. Is like, are you on this side or are you on that side?
Yeah. No,
especially
I think
in a game full of that many people. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I was on that topic still there. I mean, I think I was a bit more concerned just about how my friends were doing and seeing how they were and things like that, and taking that into consideration a lot of the time, because you can tell when people are struggling with this sort of thing. I mean, I struggled with some of the PvP as well, and I wasn't anywhere near the sort of focal point of it. There is an option though, so people who were there and people who are listening and everything now, PD does actually have a feedback system where you can actually send an email in, whether that's positive feedback, whether it's negative, whether that's suggestions and so on. And it is important to make sure that all this stuff is out there. If you do want to get in touch with them, they've got that there for this reason, and they've got a full conduct team there as well.
Yeah. So I mean, this was, I mean, basically what I worried about. I did say I was going to move on from this, but what I basically worried about, what I was seeing. So from my perspective, I'm not going to put words in other people's mouth how they were feeling about it, but what I was feeling about it was that you had people at the, let's just for argument's sake call it the higher end of the game. So people who have been playing the game for a long time and have positions, Imperial positions, right? They were doing the stuff. They had to do all the very mentally strenuous role play. Everybody in the lower part of the game, so like especially new players and people that maybe come for a couple of times, who just come and have a laugh, just have a laugh and just sling some rubber swords around, were loving it. What I worried about was that it just seemed to become like almost like a Big Brother show for 98% of the LARPers, and then you had a small percent of LARPers that were obviously in the spotlight, which we like being in the spotlight, but in a game like that, there's a lot of pressure, especially since having an Imperial title feels like a job, but we'll get to that we do sign up for.
Yeah.
But it's you can see people struggle to like have a respite from it. If you and I are doing like real serious PvP, and we're at a small LARP with say like 30 people, I can just be like to you, but other people can engage in it, and I can just be like to you. I'll be like, I've actually had enough of this now. Should we just move on to something else? And then that's it done. But when we had thousands of people there, I can't see there of being a chance for anyone to be like, right, I've done this crazy thing in the Empire. I've had my PvP with the people that I want to PvP at, where I've heard all the arguments. I've put my arguments forward. I just want to sit down and have a beer now.
Yeah.
When you've got thousands of people, like it's difficult to like step away from that, you know? So, I mean, I'm just thinking out loud. I don't have a solution for this because the game is built around PvP.
Yeah,
so.
it's a really difficult one because we were talking about this before, weren't we? Where we were like, oh, it would have been good if there was an official like NPC or something there with a couple of these higher up people in question for this event. Yeah. But that's not. We know that there's not a lot of people there behind the scenes when it comes to putting this sort of thing together. We know that that's not always possible. Hindsight is great, and I do think an official PD NPC with certain players throughout this event would have made a bit of a difference.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I think it would have made a difference. I did see a lot more refs around at timing, quite a lot more refs just in different areas where I knew there wasn't anything really meant to be happening. So I don't know if they were anticipating certain things breaking out to start off with, but yeah, I think that might have helped. It wouldn't have stopped everything. I mean, there's no way of doing that, and it is a PvP game. It's just remembering the rules of PvP, though, isn't it? And I mean, we're all just people trying to escape things and go and have a bit of fun.
We're just normal men.
We're just innocent men.
We're just innocent men.
What do you mean innocent men?
What do you mean innocent men? Oh man. Anyway, so what did we get up to at the weekend? So Leah, let's tell the story of how we navigated
let's talk about this. So we got there on the Thursday. This time got nice and early there on the Thursday, didn't we? Which was pretty good, and
good old dangerous Thursday. Yeah, the way the school holidays worked out, we could get there early, couldn't we? Which is always nice. And then did the usual Thursday things. Stayed up too late, drank too late. I think we made the joke this weekend several times. I think on Sunday, we made the joke several times. I'm like, oh, I've had an 8 hours sleep spread out over 4 days.
Oh my gosh, this was our worst one yet for this. Okay, we were terrible. I think we ended up until back 3-4 when we were out on the Thursday night. And we did some shopping, got to see everyone. They had a little bit of a different setup with some of the traders this time. Again, I think they're experimenting with quite a lot of different setups here to see what really works best. And I did quite like it, actually.
I didn't mind how it was set up, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it worked quite nicely, you know, just having the traders. Basically, it felt like a lot of the traders were a bit more split up and a bit more in character. Like you really got that feeling walking through some of the areas.
You know, actually, I don't know, because I feel like the idea was that when you were walking up that main road towards like the Sentinel Gate or wherever you were heading off to, you weren't going through the traders. But then because they made a space for the traders, everyone just stopped going up the normal road and they just start going up the traders. Not because the traders were there, because it was just an open space and everyone was just walking through it. So I don't know if it made that much difference, really. I will say about like the staying up late. Usually because we're just like chatting by the fire and having a laugh and having jokes. I just kind of feel like that was just needed more than ever at this event, because it was super stressful event. It was
definitely an event where you needed like your friends and things around you a little bit more, I find. So we did our usual shopping and everything, and then got set up, and we had our dangerous Thursday, where we tend to always end up in the Forge, don't we?
Yeah.
It's the only time of the week I end up in the Forge is that Thursday, which is always nice to catch up.
There's certain people that I don't you don't actually get to see over the weekend, but you only ever see them at the Forge. So
exactly,
so anyway, on to Friday. Nothing happened before time in, did it? Of any interest?
Not really. No. So before time in, so we this downtime, we sent our military units to the
We did not. We did not defend. We not defend the Robyn or help the Robyn or.
We
attack
went
the Robyn.
to Thurunin to fight the Druge. So we were often Thurunin fighting the Druge, and this was a big storyline because unfortunately the Empire ended up losing 2 armies in this fight. A Navari army and also a Varushkan army. So there was downtime. There was options here where we were able to come in with basically with auras on us, and they could be attached to like jewelry or armor and so on. We all came in with these traumatic wounds that we could play out, and they were really cool role play effects and everything that were on these wounds. I really enjoyed them actually. So before time in, we decided to do a load of prosthetics, make ourselves look like we'd been like properly injured and all beaten up before coming in. So that was quite fun.
Well, as I say, there was going to be drama at the Glory Square, but yeah, like a load of us. So in Thurunin, the Golden Sun, Dornish Army, Izella's Dance, the Iron Helms, and the other Navarre army, which is completely just gone out of my head which one it was. Blackthorns.
Blackthorns, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that it? Yeah.
Were all in Thurunin. Unfortunately, yeah, like as you said, we lost Izella's Dance and the Iron Helms. And that's the first time we lost an army since the Hounds of Glory.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
And so basically losing 2 armies is bad. Like we got absolutely just our asses kicked. Which also added to the drama of a Dornish army. So the Griffin's Pride was actually in Thurunin, and they left. I don't know the numbers exactly. I think it would have made a bit of a difference. I think so that obviously added to the whole drama of it as well. But we were timing in basically with like the Varushkans and the Navari that were coming back that sent their military units off to fight in Thurunin. People who might remember Thurunin, that was the place we went to in Uptime, the last event. That's where we had the Sweet Glade Massacre, the craziest, most horrible battle ever. And then in Downtime, it seemed to happen again.
Yeah, it's not a good place to go.
No.
I'm not in a rush to go back there.
yeah. So yeah, we timed in. We went off to we came in through like God, and then we marched on down to Varushka.
Yeah, which was a lot of fun because we never really get to see what other nations do at Time In and get to experience this sort of thing. So we got to go there while and stand there in Varushka while everything was happening and be there as part of the Iron Helms because our military units went with the Iron Helms.
Yeah.
It was really cool to actually just be there and be part of it. So they had the different people coming around, and they would come up and they'd put their hand on like my armor and everything and things like that. And I was like, this is really cool to be part of here and just be like welcome, because again, I was a little bit
I'd just be welcome.
unsure.
Oh, no.
I was so unsure about what
fine.
things were going to happen. Yeah,
I've
Bruce were
actually,
fine.
Yeah, in a past life when I was Godric, I actually did go before once as well, because remember when we were doing that skirmish years ago?
Oh, and I needed you to go and collect
I had to
mana time in
Varushka and get a load of mana.
Oh, I had like 3 of you timing in different nations to collect on my mana.
Yeah, I had to like awkwardly wait for it to be over as Godric. Yeah, so but yeah, no, like it was all very somber, but yeah, quite comforting though in Varushka, which was a contrast to where we went next.
Oh yeah.
So we went to Navari Standing. And there was literally only you, me, Hoops, and Zoran, right?
Yeah.
Was there anyone else there? I can't remember.
I saw Phil was there as well, but I think he came a little bit after.
Later, yeah,
he came later.
Yeah.
I think to kind of remind Zoran he had to be somewhere.
Yeah, so we went went up to Navari Standing after that, so that like obviously we could show our respect. Navarre not quite as welcoming to especially Dornish, I don't know, to their Standing, because I had like 2 people ask me like, oh yeah, what brings you to Standing, you know, as it was happening. But I mean, my character stance was like, well, this is where we should be, not down in
it was.
We were in Thurunin as we should have been, as many people should have been in character opinion.
That was the thing, like the second that like the Navari there realized, oh, these are the Dawnish that went to Tharunan to support our armies while being there. Yeah. Okay, yeah, they're fine.
Yeah.
Because we did get that little warning from the general as we were going in, basically saying to us, like, he was like, you know, like, I welcome you there, but I cannot guarantee the reception that those of you from Dawn will have when we go in there.
Yeah. I mean, we only came, showed our respects, and then, you know, obviously Saran said a couple of words because, well, the thing is, we were Team Golden Sun as well. Obviously being Saran's adjutant, so I was like, yeah, we're going to go up. Saran said a few words, and then we were like, right, let's go back home. So,
well, like, the Emperor came in and they spoke for a little bit there as well, because obviously they were in Varushka to start off with also, and there was a little bit of tension after, and as the tension started and they were about to officially begin standing, that's when we were like, well, that's our cue to skedaddle.
That's our cue to leave.
Nice to see you all. Goodbye.
See you later. Yeah, then back down to Dawn, where it was already kind of kicking off, wasn't it? It was all, I think so anyway. It was all, I think that was when it was all...
Yeah, it'd already, well, actually, I don't think it fully kicked off at that point. From other people that I spoke to who timed in Dawn, I think it was quite quiet to begin with, like eerily quiet over Dawn. Someone literally said, like, timing happened and it was weird. You could, like, hear a pin drop in that glory square. It was just, but I wasn't there, so I didn't experience that. But we got to go in and see all our housemates and everything as we were all, like, injured and, like, doing our typical thing of, oh, I'm fine, leave me alone.
I'm fine.
Well, I'm fine. I want to role play this as long as I can.
Well, the thing is, it wasn't even that much of a role play choice. I'm just like, I don't have time to actually get this all, have surgery at this point. So I just don't have time.
I don't have time to have surgery. Go away.
I don't have surgery. Yeah, then it was a lot of kind of, we were milling about because I wanted to be present for, like, Lance Captain's meeting, which basically couldn't take place because that is when it kicked off. There was lots of shouting, lots of screaming at each other. In a role play sense. I distanced myself from it in character and a bit out of character as well. I'm like, no, like, Damon's going to do his, like, adjutant job, and I'm going to, like, focus on military council. I definitely gave my opinion when people asked me. The line that I took has actually given me quite good game going forward, especially after the event now with all that happened. But yeah, there was a lot of times things were kicking off in the Glory Square, and I was just like, well, best of luck, folks. I'm going off to do something else. You know, I just can't be doing with this, you know?
Yeah. I stayed to watch the drama.
Yeah.
So I kind of like stayed and watched drama. I had like a few people around me, and it was cool because I got some like good game with some of the people that were just like there and like around me and everything at the time. Because there was a lot of screaming, there was a lot of shouting. It was a bit strange, but there was a few funny moments. So Dave, who is a previous podcast guest, has a new character. And his new character, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So he's part of the Fools now. And he came in as like this, with this really strong Welsh accent. And he was there and he had his chair that he was sitting in to watch everything. And just every so often he would move his chair closer so he could hear what was getting said. And you would look at him and look away, and you'd look back and there'd be another jester with him. And you would look away, and this kept happening. And like the person next to me, like anyone, excuse me, is that one of your yo folk over there? And I look over to see Hoops doing his like jingly dance into the square. And I'm like, what is he doing? And they were all just in this little huddle. It was just the jester group of Dawn.
There's all this like serious dramas going on.
They've got people that are shouting and getting like a really serious PvP that are getting very angry. We've got the Empress there giving a speech to part of the people there in the square, and then you've got the other group of people just pissing themselves at these jesters. It was really funny.
Yeah.
I think it's this point that someone came up to me and was like, I'm Damon's I think Damon's sorting out Lance Captains. I was like, well, he doesn't need me here. I'm going to watch this. This is hilarious.
Yeah, I do.
Damon's fine.
I do. I love the jester meta is getting bigger in Dawn. You know, so it's always been a small subset, but I have seen more and more jesters coming in every event, which I like. I think they're a real cool aspect of Dawn that I'd like to see more of.
Yeah, it's just fun. It's just funny.
Yeah. Then Lance Captains was weird because it was like in a little corner of the Glory Annex because there was so much stuff going on in the Glory Square. Yeah.
It fizzled away quite quickly though. They had all the shouting and all the drama and everything else, and it was strange. And then it kind of fizzled away, and then we just kind of carried on with our normal things that we would do on like a Friday.
Yeah. So, muster. After that, you didn't go to muster, did you?
No.
You went elsewhere. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I mean, so unfortunately, the enchantress of our house couldn't be here this event, and Earls Council was happening. So I was like,
more drama.
I was like, you know what? I've never done Earls Council before.
What a time! What a time to do it.
And I heard through the grapevine that there was going to be a group of Imperial orcs charging into it at some point. So I was like, I might go to Earls Council actually. You know, I feel like we should have a more to our presence. I'll sit there. That should be fine. So I got in like pretty sharpish. So I managed to get a seat at Earls Council, and it was mobbed. I was told after that it's not normally as busy as that normally it is just the Earls.
Yeah, because everyone came to
oh
to
my
see all the
god,
drama.
we were all like huddled in for this drama, and it was just hilarious. So we did like our we did our whole like start thing where every single one of us introduced ourselves and everything. So at Earls Council you have to either be an Earl of a house or be there on behalf of that Earl, the house, and bring up different situations, vote on different things, and all the rest of it. And I was just there for the drama, to be honest. So we're there. It was fun. It was quite funny, actually, just because there was a lot of these little arguments. And I'm like, I feel like I'm just sitting, observing arguments happening. And I'm just, you know, this is fine. OC, I was kind of wanting to push myself a little bit. I love the military game, and I wanted to know if I truly did love the military game. So I wanted to go and try a couple of other parts of the game. And yeah, okay, the entire time I was there, in the back of my mind, I was like, I wonder what point they're at in military council. I wonder if they've discussed this opportunity yet. And that's all I was thinking about. So I was like, okay, this is definitely the game I want to be in. So while we were there, we're halfway through the introductions, and then somebody pops their head and they're like, just to let you know, there is a large group of Imperial orcs who are making a lot of noise in the Glory Square. They're like hitting drums and shouting. And we're like, yes, we've heard them, but we're halfway through our introductions. I'll have to wait. And we carried on doing these introductions as we went through so that the scribe could get everybody's name down and everything. And they were like, okay, yes, I guess we will allow one of them in to speak. Who would like to come and speak on their behalf? And it was quite fun, actually, like just sitting, just, you know, apparently I was rolling my eyes. I don't remember this.
Yeah, no, I got like after the fact, so many people. I think it was on like the Saturday morning when we were all out of character, like people going, oh god, Earls Council. The best part of Earls Council was just like side-eye Nymeria, see what face she was making at one point, at which points. They're just like, oh, what's Nymeria's face look like now? Oh, what's it's hilarious to hear about. Yeah.
It was quite fun. I mean, that's pretty much it with Earls Council. We had the drama. But it was a bit more civilized in the sense that it was very much like we had Imperial orcs there putting their point across. We had people on both sides. We had the general in question coming into it as well. But because it was set up like a meeting, it was very much like, no, we're not having a big argument over everybody. It'll be one person directs a question. Then this person can direct a question. We're not having conversations and arguments in here. So it was quite contained. And I was like, I could have kicked off. But the person running the meeting managed to stop it kicking off until he chucked people out. It was quite fun.
Yeah,
it's quite fun to be part of.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think this is the first time where it's like I felt in Anvil that like there's going to be actual like combat PvP kicking off here, there, and everywhere. There was less than I thought. There was definitely some, but it's very rare at Empire for like people to go like stabbing each other. You know?
Oh yeah, exactly. The militia were like hot on it, and they were like everywhere, and they were doing their whole like, you know, we're here to support both sides. We're here to, you know, help everyone. I was like, are you?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So bearing in mind as well, a lot of the militia are players as well.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, exactly.
So, they're not all NPCs. But yeah, I mean, military council. We had 4 choices of conjunctions. There was 2 opportunities for Tharunin. The Tharunin ones were that way because when you looked at them like out of character, you looked at them and you went, these are kind of 2 that we either need to do both of them or none of them.
Yeah.
Because one was like helping Varushka and then kind of getting an item for the dance, the Zealous dance, and the other one was like the opposite. The other one was helping Navarre and getting an item for the Iron Helms.
Yeah.
Like getting the banners back, basically. And I think the helms was like
It was the axe.
It was an axe, right?
Yeah. I think it was an axe. I know it was a weapon. I'm
yeah,
sure it was
so
the axe. Yeah.
It was that way where it was like I even though so we didn't actually end up going for either of them. Like I said, it seemed quite obvious to me that it was like, these are ones that we either need to do both of them one day and the next, or don't do them.
Yeah.
And there were some rumblings that Navarre were really unhappy about it, but you got to admit, like, it was like those decisions. Really, it's just like, I don't know if it was.
I wasn't there.
Yeah.
But it's tricky because reading all the opportunities, there was the other opportunities that was there. One of them was quite urgent and kind of did need to be done.
Yeah.
And that is when you've got the question of, do you pick one Tharunin one over the other? Because I think that would cause even more, you know. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'd be pretty ticked off as well, though, if I was in their position and there was like,
in character, they're not doing well, Navarre, basically.
No.
It's bad. I mean, Dawn isn't doing well either, but like Navarre are having a bad time. Basically, everybody on the East is having a bad time. The East is screwed at the minute.
We're struggling. Send help.
Yeah, send help. But this is why the one that we really did need to take, I thought, because I agreed with most of the arguments for it, was the one in the Morn, to basically kill this Jarl. Was he a Jarl? Hakon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
So it's basically, it's like we're trying to make peace with the Jotun, right? So the Jotun are on, you know, they're the ones on the west, and they're the honor. So to remind people, they are the like honor bound orc barbarians. They kind of have slaves. They have like thralls, which are kind of happy to be there, if you like. But they are out of the Thor, the Grendel, the Druge, and the Jotun. The Jotun are the ones that are most likely we're going to be friends with, because we can kind of live like harmoniously. But we've been working towards peace with them for a long time. But it's not a case of going, you know, if you really want peace with like the Grendel, you just like, here's a load of money. Whereas there's the Jotun that are like, no, like they need to respect us. So the way that you get respect from them is fighting them and killing things, and so we're after this one Jarl that the Jotun don't like. We need to get him killed. This is one of the big arguments, which was a really good argument, is that I don't know if people remember, if they've been listening a while. A couple of years ago, or last year, was it last year? Good time. When there was a opportunity to go and kill Matilda Fisher. And we ended up going with the Brass
last
Coast.
Year, wasn't it?
It could have been. It was when we had all the rough music stuff and all that.
Oh, that might be the year before last, actually.
No, I think it was the year
before last. That was the year before last. We did the. Oh yeah, I thought you meant when we actually went for
no,
we
didn't go.
No, it was year before last, because we were
in the marches. Yeah.
We got to rough music with the marchers.
Yeah. But the point was that it was like, you know, because the argument was, oh yeah, well we can kill Hakon another time. But the point was brought up. It's like, no, this happened with Matilda Fisher, and then shit hit the fan, and it took us a year. That always must have been a year. Must have been a couple of years ago, because then it took us another year to basically get to the point where we could get Fisher.
Yeah.
So Hakon's there. Let's just go.
Let's just go deal with it.
Let's just go deal with it. So we really need to do that one. And the best thing, really, in my opinion, and most people's opinion, to deal with our problems on the east is to close the front on the west, so it frees up some more armies to help out. So anything that's going to bring us closer to peace with the Jotun is a good thing. And then, like I said, the other two options for Tharunin, it was like you kind of wanted, it was difficult to choose between them.
Yeah.
If you weren't Navari or Varushkan. So the other one was dealing with the children of Rex in Redoubt. So,
which did need to be dealt with.
Yeah. So I mean, like, objective wise, it was like, nah. So anyway, we decided on going to Redoubt and then going to the Morn. So the Morn was on the Sunday, Redoubt was on the Saturday. We had it was quite an interesting back and forward when it came to where we put our forces. There has been quite a changeover. We had lots of deaths in Dawn last year. We've got lots of new players. Lots of people going to Urizen recently. Actually, lots of people.
Oh yeah, like everyone I speak to, like they're all like going for Urizen. Like I'm quite excited to see the look of Urizen. Basically, like in a couple of events, I want to see what's going on there, because a lot of big players going to Urizen.
Yeah, from a military perspective on the battlefield, you're always behind, and some people are really behind. And what I mean by that is that you have an idea of what the nation is and how they're fighting and who's in the nation doing what. And then there's the reality of it. So, when you're deciding what nations we put on what day and what pairings, you go, oh yeah, High Guard are good at this, League are good at this, but you're always a little bit behind because there's new people coming in, new groups coming in, other groups leaving, other groups not, not coming to the game anymore. So that's an interesting ripple. You're always behind. What I did like this was like Zoran's main point was that we've had battles that Dawn have done well in getting the objectives, but we've been hammered losing lots of lives, because the problem with Empire obviously is that some nations just have more people in than others, so it's not it's a balancing act of that, which makes the game actually more interesting from a military council point of view.
It does.
Because if everyone was the same size, then it would just be a case of, oh yeah, there's that. But we know that the big ones like Dawn, Navarre, and Wintermark. But those three aren't the same, right? So Dawn and Wintermark are heavily armored and shields, but interesting thing with Navarre, they've got a lot of shields and things like that, but they're a little bit more light and skirmishy than Dawn, even though they're as big. So the issue that we've had is that Dawn is the big tanky nation is sometimes just helped out with all the smaller nations, because that's the thing. They go sometimes they go, oh, Dawn plus all the small nations.
Yeah.
And then what tends to happen is that we get the objective done, but Dawn get absolutely just the shit kicked out of them, basically, getting the objective done. So we were pushing for basically like, can we do, we need two big nations, and we need to bolster, if Navarre's on one side, we need to bolster it with some of the heavy and smaller nations, like High Guard. So that's why we were pushing for High Guard or the Orcs to be with Dawn and Navarre. So we wanted Dawn on the Saturday in Rykos. So we ended up we kind of got what we wanted, didn't we? This is the thing with military council, is that you're trying to. This is the PvP I like. You're trying to get what you want, but you have to tell people the right things.
Yeah.
And make compromises, and then you got to be willing to make certain, you got to be aware that you have to make compromises as well. But we ended up getting our way, didn't we? It was pretty cool. So we ended up with Dawn, Navarre, High Guard, Urizen, and that was it, right? Everyone else was on the other day.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
So basically, to make up for Navarre, we wanted to add High Guard or the Imperial Orcs, which we end up with High Guard.
So they're both quite like
yeah, because you get that bit kind of heavier.
It was really cool fighting with High Guard actually. We'll get onto that, but yeah, it was really cool having High Guard.
So yeah, so that was what we were up against, and of course, like the Children of Rex, they're pretty much Grendel, right? So that's tactically Grendel. So we knew we were going to be dealing with Shark Heralds. Woo! In fact, I think that's the first time I've fought. No, I think that's the first time I've actually fought Shark Heralds like 1-on-1. I think the other times I've either not seen them, or we've been monstering on the other side.
I know. Yeah, I think so.
We knew we were going to get land sharks, things like that. Anyway, for the rest of Friday night, what did we do?
Rest of Friday night, we kind of like we did obviously like the rest of our military stuff, figured out our plan for the following day, things like that. To be honest, I'm pretty sure the rest of Friday night we actually just went off and had a little bit of fun, just with our own like house and things like that.
I got so I was under the effect from Thrunin, my wound. It was like a.
We did that on Friday. Yeah.
It was a what kind of wound was it? It wasn't a spiritual wound, but it was basically like it wasn't like an open wound. Basically, I had like bruising and things like that. But I was under the effect of weakness.
Yeah.
So on Friday, I was trying to be like just worn out the whole time and just be like, oh, I'm so worn out, which wasn't difficult to roleplay because I was worn out. It's that way. It's always that way at E1, especially E1. And then it's like Friday, and it's like it's time in. You're like 2 hours into the game. I'm like, I'm tired already. I've not even had, I had that feeling on Friday. I was just like, oh, I'm so tired. And I'm like, oh, it's only Friday night.
I always get that on a Friday. I don't know what it is about it, but I almost get like a little bit of regret of like, oh, I did not get enough rest last night. Oh my gosh, we got all this to go tomorrow. How am I going to do it?
Yeah. So I had to. So we got some lectures as well because we didn't get our wounds seen to properly. I had to basically we had different wounds, didn't we? So mine, I had to like release. It was like coral. That was it. So I was trying to think as I was describing it. There, I was trying to remember what I had inside me. So I had like a load of coral. Like sea coral in my bones. So the physic had to like have a look at it. And yeah, I think Alicia was the one that kind of had a look and was like, all right, okay, well we need a shatter mage or someone with shatter to basically break your bones open to release the coral. And I'm like, great.
It was quite funny because like I kind of came back into, I was like having a conversation and went, Nymeria, we need to get Damon to the hospital now. And I'm like, what's happening? They went, we need to get somebody to shatter this. We need to get him to the hospital. And he's not got much time. And I was like, well, I'll find someone with shatter. So
instantly.
I was like, so I went over to Vexil. The Vexil tent's near us, and they had a whole group of people there, and I was like, somebody here will have shatter. I knew that Guy was there. Walked in, I was like, somebody here got shatter. And people went, oh, yeah, what's it for? I said, someone needs to shatter Damon. And before I could finish that sentence, before I could even get to the end of it.
Everyone's scrambling. I'll shatter Damon.
It was just Guy. And it was like, he's got this little tiny wand there and everything. No, he went and got the biggest weapon he could find and went, I'll do it. Where is he? And no other, like for all he knew, I was like heavily cursed and trying to get Damon killed. Didn't care. Came back up to the
practically came skipping into camp.
Skipping up to the tent with sword in hand, ready to shatter Damon.
Yeah. So I got my ribcage shattered open and the coral came out. Then I was no longer in the effects of weakness, and then I got stitched up and all hunky dory. I can't think of any other little bits and pieces really.
Well, like I had my wound. So my wound had a different roleplay effect. It made me see dead people. So I kept role playing that I was seeing our uncle Lucan. Basically, I kept like role playing that out.
R.I.P.
But I did it like really subtly to begin with. Just like I keep feeling like I see him, but he's always just a little bit too far away. I wanted a moment where like the actual player was there, so I could be like, he's there, Lucan is there, and like point behind him or something. But that didn't quite happen. So I was role playing this out, and then I kind of sat down. They were like, "We need to look at your wound again." I was like, "Fine, whatever." And I had Steve there, and we were doing this. He basically did this teacher thing, where we were talking through it all. And I decided in that moment that the way Nymeria would play this is she's not actually that stupid. She knows that Lucan's dead, but she knows that something's causing her to see him, and she's not ready to let him go. So she was purposely not telling anyone that she could see him. And then now she's slowly starting to believe it.
It was our butler Birch that was
our butler
telling you off,
Birch that was telling me off, like heavily telling me off. It was quite funny. I think I'm glad we waited till that time of night though to do it all, because we got to have a lot of really good heavy role play with the entire family group. That wasn't rushed because we had to run off to a meeting. It was just all the focus could be on role playing as a group together. And we got all sorted, we got all healed, they did a load of stuff and everything, and we got all our wounds sorted out because we didn't want those on the battlefield the next day.
Yeah, I didn't end up going. I actually ended up sitting with God, yeah, I was so tired. Yeah, I remember I was sitting with Belikov on that Friday night.
Yeah.
We had drinks because then you went off to
Military
Military
Council,
Council. Yeah, because I obviously did a stint in there.
But yeah, you stayed with Belikov and you had like a few chats with him, didn't you?
Yeah, well, yeah, so like Zoran had already said the year previous that this was going to be like the last year, and this is why we were like agitating for Zoran. And I've been in and out of that military council like since I started the game, even with my previous character, you know. And I spent all of E4 last year in military council, kind of just doing the job, if you like. And I honestly wasn't sure whether I was having fun, you know, because it's quite heavy. It's like, and there's a lot to do. A lot of your weekend is like, should I go off and like have a load of beers? Well, no, I kind of need to be in this meeting until this time to this time. So it's a bit of a change of pace, and I wasn't sure because it is type 2 fun sometimes as well.
Yes, yeah.
I wasn't entirely sure whether it's something I wanted, you know, and I'm like, I've got to have like conviction in that. So a lot of my conversations, especially on like the Friday and the Saturday, were with people, you know, friends. So like Belikov would be one of them, that wondering, you know, what. I probably should have talked to Priest, really. Nah, it's fine. Just trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and the position Dawn was in at that moment, you know, because it was quite obvious that the general position for the Griffin's Pride was going to be revoked because of what happened. And then the Golden Sun was up for revocation, so it might be left with like 2 open general positions the following day. It was a weird time, basically. But yeah, we'll may as well just move on to the Saturday to continue this, right?
Yeah.
So Saturday, we're going to the battle. We were heading out to Rykos. I think the main thing that we were after was the planks of wood.
Yeah.
We're after planks of wood.
We're looking for planks of wood, everyone.
There were 5 planks of wood, but we needed at least 3.
3. We needed 3.
at least 3. We had a competent field marshal from High Guard.
Oh yeah.
This was a battle that was interesting because I found it pretty straightforward. Because there wasn't really any need for Dawn to be just like being sacrificial and going for it. And it was just like, hey, if it's great if we get these planks, but you know what? We don't need to wipe the entire nation to get these planks of wood. It was that type of battle. It was like go out there, do your best, but also like, you know,
if things get very bad, this is not the end of the world. We will just head back. Okay?
Yeah, coming home is not the worst.
You know,
not the worst thing. Yeah, defeating this one wasn't the worst thing.
Yeah,
you know?
It wasn't like that. Yeah. So we went out. We actually went into the battlefield a little bit differently this time. Normally, you go right through the Sentinel Gate into the field. This time they had us going around the side and round through the woods. Basically where, you know, if you're monstering, where you enter through there, they had us round that side. And this was just because of safety reasons. Some trees fell over. So we went around that way, and we basically timed in, or like entered the field in the woods, which usually a bit of a tricky situation, but it was actually fine. We kind of there was a moment where like all of Dawn swept through part of it and like annihilated like 5 monsters. We're like,
yeah,
didn't need all of that.
Interestingly enough, with that, I heard some of the the more experienced people assessing that battle and saying that we were slow there, as in like we should have done all that a bit quicker. I thought we did all right. I mean,
no, I kind of agree actually. We did do all right, but we kept getting caught up in areas that we didn't need to be. We kind of needed to sweep through those woods and get out onto the field, really. That's what we needed to do. But we spent a lot of time on small parts of that. And we spent a lot of time waiting for other lines to kind of come up as well. We probably could have done that a bit faster. In the end, it was fine. We got through it.
Yeah, we got through it. There was a moment where we were just like wading through and we were just basically just stabbing these shark heralds because we knew we didn't get shark heralds. No, the shark heralds are terrifying.
They are.
They are really terrible. They're terrifying to look at and they're terrifying to go up against because they are quite squishy, but basically they can execute you straight away. So they are ones so when you go out in these battles, the majority of the monsters are told not to execute. Because certain things that's their thing, they go and execute.
Yeah.
The Shark Heralds are one of them. You might remember us talking last year about when we fought the shark, we were monstering with the Shark Heralds, and how deadly that was. So if you go down in front of a Shark Herald, they just jump on you, start eating you, and they just execute you, which is not good. So the key to defeating them is to just like don't go down.
Yeah.
don't go down in front of them, and then if your mate goes down, go and engage the shark. Don't let them eat your friend.
Distract the shark so it doesn't eat your friend. Basically, that's the key of it. I mean, like, but they are squishy. Like, an impale or a cleave will take them straight down. So your archers, this is like archers game here because all of your archers can just take them out.
Oh yeah, we had a cool moment with Guy actually. It was like Damon duck. Shot one right in the. I don't think it was the herald. Cool. I think it was one of the handlers, but
it's still pretty cool.
yeah. So that was where one of the planks were, and then it was out onto the open field, wasn't it? So yeah, this was the land shark. So then we dealt with the land shark. The land shark seemed to be very effective for them, didn't it? I don't know whether
very effective for them.
I don't know whether the skirmish crew were just like they had a year of practice last year and they were like, right, this is how we use the land shark now.
Yeah, they got the steering down.
yeah. So the land shark is this huge, great big like vehicle, right?
Yeah.
It's the size of a car, right? It's pretty
big.
It's big. So I think people were talking about maybe they have changed the calls. I don't know whether they've changed the calls for the land shark because I'm pretty sure before they used to do like strike down, but this time it was like doing repel and then it was doing like shatter, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I don't think it was in that before. Yeah.
So basically, the idea of the land shark, really, you want to get like round behind it, so don't stand in front of it, because it can't really turn that well. But the children of Rex were doing a very good job of basically like acting like its tail. So like it would come through and they would queue up behind it, and as it like punched through our lines, they would like follow it, really closely, so we couldn't attack the back of it, and they were then using that to like distract us while the other lines were taking advantage of the fact that we were then split up.
Yeah, there was a lot of that. Some of us were trying to get rid of the rider and the handlers because then you can kind of let it go a bit rogue. And yeah, it's going to try and kill us, but it's also going to try and kill them.
What if it's on our side?
What if it's on our side? I was like, good pen. I was like, actually, do you know what? We don't need to engage. It's going right back into its own line. Just let it go.
Yeah.
It's not the thing we need to deal with at this point.
Yeah. So I think one thing I'll say for Dawn is that I think we were fighting a little bit too close together, as in literally close together. Some of the lances were like shoulder to shoulder, which isn't a very effective way of fighting, because when you cluster like that, especially if you're a different way of thing is, we don't fight like the Marchers, the League, Wintermark. Even Wintermark shouldn't really be fighting like that anyway.
No, they spread out a bit.
You want to spread out.
They're quite good at creating a line. Yeah,
unless you're doing like something like a phalanx or something like that, where it's just like your shield is guarding your neighbor, and then their shield guards you. We're a nation of like, we have lots of shields, but we also have lots of great weapons and lots of mages, right? So we need space for everybody to swing weapons, and then if you spread out. So what was happening is we had these little clusters of lances, leaving big gaps for just to get cut off. There was like, you know, we were all strung out, but then the land shark had a really easy time just like splitting through us.
Oh yeah.
And separating us from the rest of the empire. And all it really needed, because we were kind of taking like a commandish kind of role, basically just doing our usual like assessing and and just giving you know, giving information to people. But when you stood back, it just seemed glaringly obvious. Basically, if everyone took like 3 steps away from each other, we would have, because you take up more room. There's not more of you, but you take up more of the field. And unfortunately, the children of Rex were doing that, and we weren't. So you had like little clusters of Dawn like spread out, you know, across the field. I think that was our main issue. And then you had certain lances that held their ground and stood and fought, and then you had other lances that were maybe a bit gun shy from Tharunin at E4 and Sweetglades that were very cagey about standing there and fighting.
I honestly think that was the issue. There was a lot of Dawn not fighting like Dawn normally fights. There was a lot of stepping back, which I haven't seen before in Dawn. Not to that extent anyway. And there was a lot of people standing in like, you said like clustered together, but almost like blocks together, where it's like, we don't need 4 or 5 rows of people for this tiny little bit here. We need to spread out, because half of us can't use our weapons because we're too close.
Yeah, it kills your speed as well. Because we constantly say in the military council, oh, Dawn is fast. This is what I mean by about you sometimes you're a bit behind in military council.
Yeah.
Because what you say, you state, oh, Dawn is fast and heavy armored. That might not actually be the case anymore. Like we might have lost our attitude might have changed to the point. I think we still are. But yeah, it's very difficult. It completely kills your speed if you're like bunched up together.
Yeah.
Defensively.
That's the thing is,
you know, like
in the game, we had 120 deaths in that battle.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
That's a big turnover.
That's going to knock confidence. It really knocked a lot of confidence, and it made people a bit worried. It made people a bit unsure on what to do. At the start of the battle, I was kind of like, oh, we're all sticking together. This is interesting. And it wasn't until a little bit into it, I was like, oh, we're too scared to split off, to do that thing where, you know, we all like go into a big swarm of bees and just, you know, like completely engulf a whole area where we're stepping back and we're running from things, and it doesn't feel like us.
Yeah, I don't. There was a point at the start of the weekend where like basically our nation in world, our nation is currently like divided over this issue, and we were like, oh, at least on the battlefield this will unify us again. I don't think that actually worked. It didn't. Like there was still a little bit of like us. It felt a little bit more like us and them, because like to your point, you have a Dornish lance runs in, but then everyone else all the other lances get excited and they run in too. Whereas this time,
normally we're racing each other to get to the objective.
This time I saw lances go in and other lances just like going, all right, are they screwed? Do we go in? Like, should we go in? And if you had like 1 out of 3 lances doing that affects the momentum of our nation like drastically.
It does. People will look to different people in the nation and they will follow what those people are doing. And if enough people do step back, it does kind of create that little bit of fear, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something I'm kind of like, you know what? I think next time's going to be different. I think that we just needed to maybe find our feet again, to have a battle where like very few people actually die. I think we kind of needed that.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see what next time brings, because I'm hoping that Dawn is not still going to be completely divided the way it is. There isn't a reason for it to still be so divided, basically.
We'll see. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a weird time. It's a weird time for the nation.
Yeah.
In character, it's all very kind of very serious. But yeah, I think we'll we got the objectives we needed. I think we got the 3.
We got the woods.
Yeah, the woods.
I did just say that, the woods. We got the woods.
It's 1 wood, 2 wood, 3 woods.
It's 3 planks of woods.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I think we did all right. But the reason I wasn't really paying attention Because we came back and it was still a lot of it was like still up in the air. And at that point, I can't remember exactly what point. I think it was a little bit later in the day. So yeah, the General of the Golden Sun got revoked.
Yeah.
So I was then kind of out of a job. So I didn't even end up going to military council anyway, and then I was like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So we ended up having 2 armies with no general. In the middle of the day, it was and I was just like, I don't know what. I was a little bit lost. I was like, I don't know what I want. I don't know what I want to do. And then because we knew there was going to be elections at some point for the armies, and I'm like, well, do I go and stand to be a general myself? Like, obviously, I had a lot of people going, oh yeah, you should do it, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to do it. I think I should do it, and I was like going backwards and forwards. There's many reasons why I wanted to do it, and I thought I'd be good for it. But yeah, a lot of the time was just kind of spent like being pensive about the whole thing, really, for the rest of the day. Okay, we've decided to call the episode there. We'll leave it at that. We're still to talk about what we did on the Saturday afternoon and the Sunday. We had Night Protector of Winter tournaments. We had fun time up in the marches. We had the Sunday monstering battle and what we got up to on the Sunday afternoon as well. This is going to be a two-part series because we've got Men His Fate coming up as well. So we're going to do recap of that. We're also, I think, planning on doing a what to do at E2 Empire LARP as well.
We're definitely doing a what to do at E2
because we've had a request for that. We did some of those last year. People really liked them, so we're going to try and get one of them done for you. Well, we will definitely get one of those done for you all as well. Thank you very much for listening to the podcast and watching. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe. Please give us a thumbs up. Comment down below what you thought of E1. If you're coming to Empire LARP for the first time, you're going to come to Men Here's Fate for the first time, please let us know. There is a referral code for Empire LARP, £15 off your first time as well. That helps us out. Give us the stars. Check the Patreon out. Until the next episode, we love you very much and stay safe. Bye-bye.